Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Redmen TV. My name is Dan Club. I'm absolutely delighted to say I'm joined by the brilliant Henry Winter. Henry, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Well, I'm good, but I am in a farmyard about 10 miles from the England base, where obviously Trent is. And there was a bit of a thunderstorm going. I saw the owner, the farmer, and I said, "English are better, English weather, isn't this good?" And he smiled. But actually, it's turning into it's quite lively. We've got some Icelandic thunderclaps going on. Anyway, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, hear you absolutely perfectly fine.
Good.
See you absolutely perfectly fine. If anything changes, I'll try and let you know. If I've got time to let you know, that is. You might be
Yeah,
gone in a puff of smoke before we realise.
yeah. If you can alert A&E in the office, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
of course, absolutely. I'll have them on standby. But the weather has been a little bit temperamental, I think it's fair to say, over in Germany. I mean, it's not been much better in Liverpool, to be honest with you. Not missing a lot. But obviously, we all seen the thunderstorm that stopped the game. What game was that? Was it Germany?
Yeah, that's right. It was. Yeah, it was. And that's right. I think there was an English referee. I was listening to it on the radio coming back from a training session. There was an English referee, and they thought that was quite amusing. But German radio responded in what the Germans have got, this brilliant understated sense of humour. You'll have met Didi Hamann, so you know that. And so while there was a sort of 15-minute pause while they mopped up the pitch and got the players dried out, they put on a special programme about England and penalties, which wasn't the most uplifting of drives to listen to. But obviously, as your man did, they turned all that around.
Yeah, they've laid that to rest for now anyway. But yeah, I thought it was fitting that Ali McCoy on the commentary when I was watching. Obviously, a big AC/DC fan with the thunder going on around everywhere. I thought that was a nice touch. Yeah, you mentioned Trent a couple of times, Henry. So let's dive into it. You are, of course, on the ground in Germany with the England squad. Trent Alexander-Arnold, for bad or for worse, will go through sort of the moments along the way. Has been quite a central figure in this tournament in a strange sort of way, really. I mean, I want to start off with, you were an advocate sort of prior to the tournament of Trent playing in midfield, actually. Now, I'm aware that we live in a very Liverpool-centric bubble here, but it's felt as though England's lacklustre performances, certainly right back at the start of the tournament, and the inclusion, so non-inclusion of Trent and kind of where he plays a little bit, they kind of went hand in hand, it felt like. That's sort of how the reporting felt. I mean, as I say, you're there, you're with the press pack. What was the noise in and around that right at the start, back in the group stages?
I mean, the noise sort of dates back to when Trent Alexander first got into the squad, and there was always a feeling: did Southgate completely trust him? There was sort of, as a right back, and then he did experiments. That's too strong a word in a way, because I mean he's an outstanding individual who, as a professional, should be able to play in a range of roles. But for me, and we talked to Southgate about this: how can you have England's best passer, Trent Alexander-Arnold? I mean, some people might dispute that. For me, he is. It's you have to play these top players, and we saw it with Scholes, England's best passer at the time. England didn't use him properly. You can go back to Glenn Hoddle, showing my age here, but Glenn Hoddle wasn't used properly, and he was England's best passer at the time. So I just thought, particularly with some teams, particularly in the group stage, being overly defensive. If you've got a player like Trent Alexander-Arnold who can play those switches, who can play those 60-yard balls through. And also, you just looking at training, there just seems, I know Liverpool fans got quite excited about this when there was a possibility, like you were being linked with Jude Bellingham. Just the understanding between the two of them. And you just see it all the time in training here. So when there's a breakdown, or when they're moving on to the next drill or whatever, you will see the two of them together, the dynamic duo, and they're chatting and they're high-fiving and they're doing the crossbar, unofficial crossbar challenge. That's another one. You can just see that there is this romance between them. And that would be fantastic for Liverpool, but obviously with Real Madrid Cup calling. So you just saw those little things, those glimpses of what that partnership could be like on the pitch. And there were a couple of signs of it when the pair did play together. But it was slightly unfortunate that the Mark Friendly's Alexander-Arnold was injured, because Southgate was definitely wanting to try him in there. But, he started off the tournament, so it shows the faith. But you can't really argue with how Southgate has responded. Conor Gallagher, I thought, was a strange move, because he's completely different. I mean, what a gear change that is. But obviously, Kobbie Mainoo's come in and he's been exceptional alongside Declan Rice.
No, he certainly has, yeah. And ultimately, I think everything we say really from here on out is going to have a huge caveat hanging over it by the fact that England are on the brink of potentially sort of getting written into the history books and the annals of history and doing something the England side's not managed to do for 60 years. So it's always going to be in the back of our mind. But yeah, we'll move forward. I mean, you mentioned the Jude Trent stuff. I think Liverpool fans are now hoping it doesn't work the other way and Trent heads to Real Madrid as opposed to Jude coming here, to be honest. But what did you make of Trent's performances in midfield? I mean, it's a very different proposition. The Trent in midfield conversation goes beyond England, actually. It's a conversation I've been having in Liverpool for quite some time now. I mean, different propositions, as I say, different challenges, passing angles, passing lanes, more pressure in and around you. I mean, he didn't thrive, I think it's fair to say, but do you think the environment was there for him to thrive? Because there was a lack of runners, there was a lack of dynamism. It never, ever suited him.
A few things on Trent. First, he obviously loves playing for England. You can just see that, the way he wants to report, the way it's partly the culture that Southgate's created there. He absolutely loves going along. Obviously, there's a different issue with England because Kyle Walker's been in such exceptional form. Probably with Carvajal and maybe one or two others has been the best right back in the world. So Trent really wasn't going to get in necessarily at a right back. But Southgate, in fairness to him, wanted to get him in the team because of his exceptional qualities. Also, that dead ball threat, as I'm sure we'll come on to. So he brings so many elements. I think maybe if Luke Shaw had been fit to start and was providing more of an outlet on the left, I think if Southgate had gone with Anthony Gordon, I think Trent Alexander-Arnold might have had more of a run or might have been more effective because of those switches, well, from Alexander-Arnold to Robertson or whoever's playing out on the left, Nunes, whoever. He can release that. And that sort of, because England didn't really have a sort of left wing with Phil Foden kept on coming inside. I think that was a sort of, a tactical thing. He's absolutely tipping it down now. The Germans are double brollied up as they go off to look after the cows. It is a bizarre scene here. But the fact that Trent just loves reporting. You can just see him. He loves being around there. I mean, there's such a good mood. I mean, you almost get the impression they're all mates. I mean, not simply Bellingham, but all the others there because he's sort of played with them in the age groups and obviously here with England. But just on his performances in the centre, I mean, in the media, we're a little bit, you're either sort of hero or villain, you're either idle or, you're useless. Actually, if you look at the stats, the work that he put in, the areas that he covered, his heat map, he actually put in quite an important shift for the team. And Southgate was at pains to point out that afterwards, possibly because he knows that there's quite a sort of Trent support club in the front sort of 2-3 rows of the media, but also because the stats show that Alexander-Arnold had done so much good work out of possession. I mean, look, this is a player, and you correct me if I'm wrong, who's played in 3 Champions League finals. You don't do that by chance. You don't play so long for a manager as demanding as Jurgen Klopp without having qualities. I mean, maybe there was 1 or 2 times that he has been caught out defensively. So Vinicius Junior in Paris, possibly. But, there's a risk-reward element. And, lightning, mention risk and reward and the skies light up. I mean, it's I don't know if you can hear it, but it's pure Wagner at the moment.
Biblical.
4 horsemen of the apocalypse. It's probably a back 3 out here. Back 3 horsemen of the apocalypse going fine past. But look, Alexander-Arnold is a special talent. And also, I think there's an element of, and this goes for all the England players in this group, and maybe many of the sort of, the current generation, they're actually a really nice bunch. They're really likable people. And I don't know Alexander-Arnold particularly well. I've done a couple of, he's, was it an hour for others, that initiative that he's got with his foundation. And he's actually, I think he's got a foundation now which helps those young players who don't make it. And
that's right, yeah.
So look, you see a footballer for what they do in the 90 minutes, but I think with this generation, you see what they do as individuals and how they contribute. I mean, Liverpool got a fantastic foundation and Trent Alexander-Arnold contributes to that. And I actually think that's really important. And maybe because I'm sort of, I've got kids who are his age and you want them to contribute. And I think this generation is actually a very conscientious generation. I quite like the athlete activist and what Alexander-Arnold goes and does and the way he helps in the community. I think it's a fabulous role model for the city as well as the club, as well as for England. So that's a sort of slightly rambling way of saying that I might stick up for him as a player, because actually I have huge respect for him as a person as well.